of such kind of sludge. But, you know, I did also, Dr. Powell knows, because I did the PhD in the same time, yeah, in my university, it was 2005. We did a big study about, as example, Syria and Egypt, and we found that, as example, soil is very poor in organic, and sludge has more than 60% organic, so it's suitable to use the sludge in agriculture because the soil is very poor in organic. So it was one option also.
Okay, thank you. Maybe we should, I'm not sure, you can also correct me, in Germany also the wastewater contains both industrial and domestic wastewater, and it's contaminated with heavy metals. That's why they moved from land application into incineration? So
no, there is a pre-treatment for industrial before they send it to the sewage. As municipal wastewater is domestic wastewater plus industrial wastewater after pre-treatment.
But with the pre-treatment, they remove the heavy metals, or it is removed already, or?
If remains something, it should be removed in the wastewater treatment plant. Yeah.
Any other question? Yes.
Hello. So my question is relevant to the question the gentleman asked. But my question is not just about the cost, my question is about the business plan. Because we also see these innovative, wonderful technologies, but most of the time they fail because they're financially not sustainable. So my question to Mark and Dr. Sharif, are these technologies sustainable financially, and what is the business plan? Thank you.
I mentioned that a lot of this happens, you have to look for how to make it work economically. For us, gathering the struvite, the mineral nutrient that we recover, we got it from, we didn't have to treat it again. We got money for the tons, packs of fertilizer that we sell. And it didn't take a lot of operations time in order to do it. Maintenance has been not too bad on the system. When we calculated it, we looked at about a 7-year payback on it, simple payback. And so for us, we've been investing in things which typically 10 years or less for us. Because one advantage we have, as a public utility, we're going to be around forever. Because people are always going to need us. So that's a good part. So we can look at these investments a little bit more long term. When things get out past 10 years, then you have to look at, is the system really going to last that long, and what other things might come along in the meantime. But that's part of the reason that we have this LIFT program. It's to encourage people to try technologies and to learn from others. We even have a scholarship program where you can go see somebody else running that technology, and we actually pay for people to go and visit and see the technology. So the way it works is it's very site specific. For instance, power is very cheap in the Northwest. We pay 7 cents a kilowatt hour. And the first, sorry if I'm going on a long time.
No, it's okay.
The first energy neutral wastewater treatment plant, at least that I'm aware of, was in, I believe it was in Austria. And they were able to get to energy neutrality. They did a lot of things we couldn't do because they paid 25 cents a kilowatt hour. So the economics just don't work for us. So many of these things, you really have to bring a lot of ideas in and then see how the economics work.
I think there is no fixed plan, but there is another factors plays here a very important role as example environmental factors, and as example I was working in a company. We build wastewater treatment plants. So some in worldwide, some countries don't pay to sludge disposal. So in this case, we have less price, and it's okay. But for us to build, to make money or to build this, because they are not under press to pay for sludge disposal. In Germany, the situation is different. So you have to pay per cubic meter sludge €300. just for disposal. So it's really a big issue.
Who's paying, the people?
The wastewater
utility?
treatment plant.
Okay.
So if you ask me to build for you wastewater treatment plant, so I calculate with sludge disposal. If you don't pay, it will be less cost for me. It will be better for me. So this is not fixed. As you said, so in Germany, even they sent a lot of sludge at the last time to the landfill. Now not more. So there's development of the plan. So we start the plan. The cost is very important factor, but there are some other factors we have to consider in our plan to develop it, not to fix it long time.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Dr. Hind?
Hi, actually my question for Dr. Nu'ma, I want to ask about the acceptable for the farmers to use the ash as a fertilizer. I don't know it is acceptable or not, or which kind of agricultural activities that you can add the ash or the sludge ash as a fertilizer. I don't know, Dr. Nu'ma, maybe it's acceptable or not acceptable here in Jordan. I don't know. It's
the ash normally doesn't use in as
you
fertilizer.
mentioned that in Syria the soil is not fertilized, or is it
the treated sludge used as fertilizer, but not the ash, not the يعني مش نواتج الحرق هي ولكن السلudge اللي معالج.
Have you used it actually in agriculture?
Normally in everywhere in the MENA region you find even in Egypt standard also here in Jordan there is also standard to reuse treated sludge in agriculture as fertilizer, but not the ash, not the. This is another.
What about the ash?
The ash is going to landfill because it's the end product of the thermal treatment. So,
okay,
yes.
Thank you.
In some places in the U.S. where they incinerate the solids, they use it in concrete as a concrete additive.
Or to recover the phosphor, because phosphor is very limited in the nature, so we have to recycle it and to have we have to recover it from the sludge, and it's easy technology to recover it from the ash more than from the sludge itself.
Zena, you also want to comment on that?
No, I just wanted to mention that treated sludge is a very good fertilizer, I would say, but in Jordan it is still not acceptable to be used. Yeah. But part of our ISRAR project is to do a pilot study on that and see how the results are.
Other questions? We have still.
I have some to add. Indeed, the acceptance of reuse sludge in the agriculture here in these countries, because I work in the MENA region since long time. I find that they don't accept it because there's no enough control on the quality. So they don't trust the quality of treated sludge for this reason, and indeed maybe it takes time to make awareness about it, to make, as example, case studies, successful cases, to show them that there is a good solution when we have very good quality of sludge to reuse it for fertilizers, especially in the MENA region. There is many countries have very bad soil, or it's desert, so we can improve the quality of the soil. It needs indeed capacity, awareness, training, and something like that. But the idea itself, it comes because, you know, if they don't have any resource of water, they use wastewater for irrigation. This is a fact also here in Jordan, directly or not directly. Mm-hmm. Even in Egypt also, or Syria, or everywhere. If you don't have another resource of water, you use the wastewater for irrigation. So you accept to reuse the sludge if you trust the quality of this sludge. I think so.
I have comment just now.
okay.
Already, like Zena, she mentioned that it is prohibited in Jordan to reuse sludge in the agricultural activities.
Yeah.
So what about Syria? Do you have guidelines and it is?
Yeah, exactly.
You
But
can use-
the problem, even in Jordan, if you allow to me,
but
because
short,
the
please.
expert,
Sure.
they take the standards from the WHO, and WHO is guidelines. It's not the standard, and
What
they.
about Syria? What about
The
Syria?
same, the same. We have the same before the war. Now I don't know, but we have the same standards here in Jordan. We take the points from the WHO guidelines to reuse the sludge in the in agriculture.
And the Syrian farmers, they reuse it? Like
Yes,
now?
yes. The problem that treated the sludge is not enough high quality indeed. As example, in Aleppo, it was oxidation pounds for 2 million persons, so it was very huge, which not acceptable by German standard, because very huge. Oxidation pounds make no enough treatment, and they have some heavy metals like nickel, because in Aleppo there is a lot of industry, and you know there is no control to treat the industrial wastewater before they discharge it to the sewage system. So this collection between industrial wastewater and domestic wastewater, produced sometimes very bad quality of the sludge. Yeah.
So in Syria, the farmers, they take it for free or they pay money for the...
No, still for free. In Damascus, as example, I know the anaerobic wastewater treatment plant has a very good sludge quality, and they use it in Damascus, in Ghouta, around Damascus.
Okay, thank you. I have a question to Zena, because the operator of the treatment plant is the municipality. This is the plan. But looking to the history of wastewater treatment plants, especially those treating fecal sludge, most of them were planned to be operated by the municipalities, but none of the municipalities accepted, and at the end it turned back to the WAJ, and WAJ is complaining about this. So I knew you already mentioned that you are trying to involve the municipalities and create how they can get revenues out of it, but do you think with the time frame of your project you can do it? And what are the success factors that you consider in order to make the municipality taking over the operator rather than WAJ at the end? Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that question. That part of the project is actually the most interesting for me. Technical part is always easy to do, but when we started the project, first of all, we had a strong mayor, Azraq municipality. They were highly interested in operating this, and of course, as Dr. Maha mentioned previously, there has been municipalities that tried to operate treatment plants similar to this. However, it failed. We had Shobak and Mu'ta. Shuna Shamaliya, yes. So we had two municipalities that failed previously. So we went and talked to these municipalities to understand what went wrong, to know the lessons learned, and try to avoid this in our case. So to make it simple, why it failed is because of the contract agreement between WAJ and the municipality as an operator. This contract was poorly done, poorly written, and the financial obligations from WAJ to the operator was very minimal, that it could barely cover the operation cost. So the contract was actually not valid. The municipality's capacity to understand the contract, to read it, to know what their responsibilities are, they didn't even know. So they signed as an operator, so they were weak from that point. So what we are doing is we want to make sure that the municipality, from a legal perspective, from understanding the contract, from understanding financial obligations, from also understanding what contributions from this municipality is needed in order to ensure that they can operate this treatment plant. On that note, we applied to the Islamic Development Bank, for a proposal to do a capacity development for the municipality, and we got awarded. So during this fund, or under this fund, it will be under three different components. One is the management, so we need to create a management of waste under the municipality. So for solid waste and sanitation, of course, we would like to merge it, because sooner or later this illegal dump site also has a solid waste illegal dump site next to it, so hopefully it can also close. So we need to make sure there's a department in the municipality that are capacitated, that know how to operate, how to maintenance, what happens if a pipe goes down, what happens when people pay the tariffs, how do we receive the money from the authorities, and so on. And on a second level, on a contractually, and on the third level is the technical. So this is a fund under the Islamic Development Bank to make sure that the municipality is able to operate and is sustainable. And we also don't want it to go to WAJ, because it's a simple technology that we know that if we go through a hand-holding and throughout, like Dr. mentioned, it's 3 years. So whenever the construction starts, we want to make sure these people are involved in construction in the beginning and the design phase also, so they have the ownership that this is our project. So we hope we succeed with that.
Yeah. Any other question? Because if not, I also have one short question to Zeina again about, because also another challenge is that after constructing these treatment plants, sometimes they do not receive trucks anymore. Huh? So was this taken into consideration, because the already existing site is close to the community, or you studied that and you know already that some trucks are discharging here and there, or this is under control already?
Yeah, that's a good point. So currently, what the current situation is that the municipality has only 2 trucks that actually is under a simple voucher system. I would say they have a voucher, you pay for this voucher, and then the trucks more or less is under the control of the municipality currently, and they all desludge at this illegal dump site. So this is an advantage for us. At least they're dumping at the same location, not the illegal dump site, but the same location. And also, because we don't have sewer, we need as much as desludging as we can get from these trucks. So also under the project as a fast track intervention, we are going to buy another truck for the municipality under the project to make sure that if, for instance, if one of the trucks breaks down, then the municipality only has 1 truck to serve 16,000 people, and also less water for us. So we need to make sure the more water that comes in, the better. But I have high hopes in co-funding for sewer. I know it's a lot of money, but we're working a lot on this efforts for co-funding. Let's hope it comes in.
Thank you. Is there any other question? Because if not, then we can close. Okay. Last question.
Last minute question.
Okay. I want to ask Zeina about the groundwater. What about the groundwater in Azraq? Have you taken into consideration maybe the contamination or the, let's see, did you predict how much the groundwater will be contaminated in the Azraq? As I know, the level of the groundwater is not it is from the shallow aquifer, or the aquifer is not very, it is close to the aquifer, the level of the groundwater. Have you taken this into consideration when you want to make your wetland or something like that?
Yeah, sure. So the ground level in water, like you said, is a bit shallow, and the problem is the data that we had trouble getting this data, and we found studies earlier from BGR, and this study actually showed that there's a high risk of contamination of groundwater. High risk, I can't say it happened or it could happen, but it's a very high risk. So, and also Azraq is a hotspot for the ministry, so that's why we had difficulties finding data on groundwater quality, I would say, currently, and also it should be done. I think especially after this BGR study, it's a big worry for us, and we should make sure we have valid data to make sure that it's contaminated or it's at least almost there. So that's where we have to intervene now. But regarding groundwater, I will have to talk to you after about that. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, with this, I would like to thank our all speakers, so please give a big hand for them. and thank you for your interaction. And with this, we close the session and enjoy your lunch.